Padres fans, the hot stove keeps on cooking, and this time it has cooked up another major headline for the San Diego Padres. Let's talk about the latest news. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for tuning in to the show that is going to help you navigate through all the BS clickbaity headlines, or at the very least, we're going to indulge ourselves in some fantasy talks about how to fix the Padres. Maybe they don't need to fix. Maybe they're perfect as is because maybe they're our boys. If you want to comment on anything, I love hearing from you guys. You see the game in a fantastically wide way, different point of views, and I love that. So I want to hear from you. Also, if you want to drop a comment, why not also hit the subscribe button? Not going to hate you for it because then you could get to hear more of me reacting to things like the Padres allegedly being able to target a Mariners veteran ace. This is Luis Castillo, and I think that this headline maybe it falls on the clickometer, the clickbaitometer, more to that than others. But I also think that underlying there maybe is a different reality and issue to talk about in all of this that also could be solved in labor negotiations. And I'm not going to go down that road, but let me lead you. A leads to B leads to C here. So this is the headline that we see. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the San Diego Padres are in need of pitching. Here's what the Padres rotation looks like as of this literal moment. And this does not, like, we have made qualifying offers to King and Cease. And there is, I'd say, sub 0% chance that Cease is back. But you ballpark it at like 30% chance that Michael King is back. But that being said, here's what we're working with right now. Good to see Musgrove no longer have an IL next to him. Yu Darvish should now have an IL next to him. So realistically, Padres only have 5 starters currently listed publicly on their depth chart. And of those 5 starters, I would only run 3 of them out there in a major league season, except for just the absolute necessities of Sears and Waldron. But okay, so what do the Padres do? How do the Padres add? We've looked at, and I'm not going to rehash the full list of all of the available free agents this year. We've got other videos talking about a fair amount of them. That's why I say hit the subscribe button, because I'm not going to rinse and repeat the 40 minutes of content every single episode. I like to keep these things digestible size, an amount of information. But of a lot of the lists, Cease and King are up in the top part of it. They are 2 of the top 4 or 5 pitchers in the current free agency class. So, if we really wanted to be we're going to target the best guys per public, common sense, we'd be targeting our own guys. So, given that they are going to walk, I don't think that there is it might be a long shot, but if the Padres went after that guy, it could change everything. So, what do the Padres do? Number 1 could be stick our head in the sand and just say, you know what? We don't need to spending on one pitcher is not going to fix everything. So let's not spend on any pitcher. Well, that is certainly an option. I don't think that that's a great option unless you're taking literally all of that money that is say there's 30 or 40 million available to spend on pitching, but they just instead are we're going to spend it all on hitting, and we're going to go get O'Hearn, and we're going to get Schwarber or X, Y, or Z other things. Okay, sure. Fine with that. Option number 2 is to find something out there in the aggregate. Some guys who are, closing in on the end of their contracts and or with teams that are not going to need premium pitching anymore. So let's go down that path and see where the Mariners are at. Obviously, the Mariners had a fantastic season, and I don't think the Mariners are in any way, shape, and form in a fire sale, but they have some pieces kind of the same way the Padres do with Fernando and Manny and some of those contracts and Xander that are going to keep getting more expensive and more expensive over the next couple of years. So I think that the Mariners are in that position where they're hey, we also don't have a ton of go out and get it money. So it would be great to make some margin moves and be like, okay, we're clearing up a little bit of this. We're moving a little bit over that. And Castillo could be that piece. He could be a piece. He could not be. This is not a, here are the numbers. 11-8 with a 3.5. So this is not a superstar that we're talking about in this hypothetical deal being unloaded, but a guy who I would welcome. I would say yes. I'm down. I like it. I like it. Don't love it, but I could be convinced that if there are two dudes like this out there that the Padres can go get via trading an Ethan Salas and or international money and Terso and some other pieces that the current permutation of the Padres don't need on the everyday, why not entertain that deal? Here's the big holdup in all of it, is that he is on the books for $24 million and change. So this is where that becomes a little bit more of like the argument falls apart and it's a little clickbaity and it's like, okay, well, yeah, it would be a great deal, but what are we really talking about here? Because the Padres, if they were going to go spend $24 million a year on pitching, would probably go spend it on Michael King and just bringing back a guy that we know and a guy that we like. And Castillo's a couple years older than King, and so it does kind of fall apart in terms of like, I'm not frothing at the mouth to say that, ooh man, Salas and Terso for Castillo lands us like in this great situation. But it opens up to me more and more of the answer that I have been kind of hammering home is the Padres, I think, off-season priority. Number one was get the manager, and now we got Craig Stammen. Great. Let Stammen come. Let Craig be a player manager. Let him come out of the bullpen 5 times a month or something like that to help our staff out. I'm joking, but they've got that answer. Now the two questions remaining are pitching, like starting pitching, because I think the bullpen's good. Starting pitching and power, specifically power. I did a video on Ramon Laureano coming back, so we don't even have like a positional hole unless you want to say that first base is first base. Technically, there is nobody there right now to play first base, but that's where I would say like it's not a Luis Arraez shaped hole, it's not a Ryan O'Hearn shaped hole, it's just a power hole. We could benefit from getting somebody in the door who hits home runs. And if you're telling me that the Padres got a couple of pretty, like I got one good spend, it's a little bit of money, $24 million on a starter or $24 million on a first base bat to provide some freaking pop, or get a Ryan O'Hearn at 12 and another guy. It just, to me, that's where my brain is. Let's get some offense. Let's get some more offense. Let's get some more offense. And then once the regular season starts and we get to kind of see where the chips are all falling, if you will, then this headline becomes this headline 2 months into the season becomes more intriguing and interesting to me, because I think right now anything that you're doing trade wise, you're dealing on a lot of speculative value, and I don't know how much teams are going to try to be like, oh, yeah, like we're giving up on this season or giving up on this guy or anything like that now versus they'll do it a month into the season. So that's where we're at. Is Luis Castillo the fix? I don't know. Drop a comment. Let me know. He certainly is a good pitcher. Certainly would be a net positive. But like, what's your tolerance for loss right now in the offseason? How leveraged are you willing to leverage what's left of our leverage? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I think you get what I'm saying. Let me know on this trade, on any other trades, or do you think that just we got to spin on pitching and to hell with all of it because pitching really was the issue last year? Let me know. Drop a comment if you want to hit the subscribe button. Like I said, not going to be mad. Talk to you guys next time.